What if one morning you were arrested but no one told you why? What if your life turned into a web of shadows, whispers, and endless corridors of confusion? Welcome to Infinite Tales. Today's story is a haunting journey into the depths of powerlessness, paranoia, and bureaucracy, a masterpiece by Franz Kafka. The Trial. Sit back, take a deep breath, and let's begin. It was a quiet morning when Josef K.a woke to find himself under arrest. He wasn't sure what had woken him exactly, perhaps the strange silence of the building, perhaps the presence of unfamiliar men standing at the foot of his bed. One of them wore a shabby jacket and smiled faintly. The other stood quietly, arms crossed, watching Joseph. "You are under arrest," the first man said calmly. Joseph sat up. "Under arrest? For what?" "That is not for us to tell you," the man replied. "You'll be informed in due time. But for now, you may not leave your home." Joseph was a diligent bank clerk. He lived alone, kept a tidy apartment, and had no reason to suspect any wrong. At first, he thought it was a joke, an odd prank arranged by colleagues. But no explanation came. No charge was presented. Only quiet orders, the presence of strangers, and a steady sense of unease. He was allowed to dress, to eat, and to go about his day, but with invisible chains wrapped around his routine. He wasn't taken away, not exactly. Instead, he was left in his own life, but changed forever. It was as if the walls had shifted inward. Weeks passed. Joseph received a letter summoning him to a court hearing on a Sunday. No details, no address, just vague instructions. When he arrived at the building, a dusty apartment block in a poor part of town, he was led through narrow halls and creaking stairs to a cramped attic room. Inside, rows of benches, people whispering, a judge high up behind a makeshift desk. The air was hot and oppressive. "You're late," the judge said coldly. Joseph tried to explain, but every sentence he spoke was twisted. The crowd snickered at his confusion. The judge offered no answers, only questions wrapped in riddles. "This is not about guilt," the judge said. "It's about the process." The word echoed, process. Not trial, not justice, just process. From then on, Joseph found himself tangled in something he could not name. He met lawyers, all useless. He visited courtrooms, all meaningless. He found endless officials, scribes, gatekeepers, each one pushing him toward the next, promising truth just a little further down the path. A painter told him that all judgments were already written before the trial even began. A priest told him the court never ends, even acquittal was a trick. One day, Joseph stood at the foot of a cathedral and asked the priest, "Is there any hope?" The priest told him a story about a man who stood before the gates of the law his entire life, never allowed to enter, never told why. And when he died, the gate was closed forever. This gate, the priest whispered, was made only for him. Joseph felt the chill in his bones. Was the law only a mirror of his own fear? Time dissolved. Days passed, or maybe months. Joseph worked. He tried to love. He argued. He begged. But the court was like fog, thick, endless, and untouchable. Then, one night, two men came for him. They said nothing. They took him quietly. No struggle. He walked between them out of the city to an empty quarry. He looked up at the stars. No one else was there. No judge. No trial. Only the silent executioners. He turned as if to speak, but one of the men pressed a hand to his chest. The other pulled out a long knife. Joseph gasped. "Like a dog," he whispered. And then nothing. In the darkness of the quarry, as Josef K.a.'s body fell limp, the city behind him slept, unaware. No one came. No one asked. No justice was served. There was no cry. No outburst, only the cold night swallowing the last echo of his breath. The trial had ended not with a verdict, but with a silence deeper than guilt. And so ends the story of Josef K.a, a man caught in a process he never understood, condemned not by what he did, but by simply being. Kafka's The Trial is more than fiction. It's a mirror to the systems we don't question, the fear we ignore, and the helplessness we pretend not to feel. What makes this story so powerful is not its strange world, but how familiar it feels. If you've ever felt powerless, confused by rules you didn't write, or judged without reason, then maybe, just maybe, you too have stood in Josef K.a.'s shoes. Thank you for joining us today on Infinite Tales. If this story moved you, confused you, or stayed with you even a little, please like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more timeless tales that speak to the soul. New stories every week, because stories are how we understand the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and remember, sometimes the trial never ends.